coming home. It's coming home. Football's coming home. 6-1. Good morning, Duane.
Good morning. All these years of hurt never stop me dreaming.
The Three Lions, led by 3-goal scorer and 3 goals by Harry Kane. Harry, the Wizard, with a hat-trick. Third player in the history of England to score a hat-trick in the World Cup final. Already the second best goal scorer in England's history, behind Gary Lineker in a World Cup final. Harry, the Wizard.
Well, he's just a goal behind own goal for the Golden Boot lead in this World Cup. No, amazing. Look, it's Panama, so that's slower roll a little bit here, but still. They scored 6 goals in the World Cup. This is England, man. Like, who knows? How?
They scored 5 in the first half. Like, what's going on? Like, can this go to 8-0? Could this be the biggest defeat in the history of the World Cup? It could have been. By the way, welcome to World Cup today. We're a bit excited. England got a big victory this morning. Duane Rollins with myself, Kevin Laramee. This show is brought to you by sportsinspired.ca. Visit sportsinspired.ca for clothing inspired by greatness. Now, Duane, this game leaves a dead rubber for next week for the group, but Eden Hazard has a calf injury, and he's expected to miss the third game, the one between Belgium and England. And the England have already qualified for the knockout stage. Same for Belgium. Is Panama the worst? Is Panama the wooden spoon? Like, if you see Saudi Arabia versus Panama, who wins that one?
Yeah, good question. Maybe. And look, when they scored the goal, their fans were incredibly happy about that, and I don't want to take anything away from it. They probably should have qualified for 2014 if it was not for the U.S. not understanding the memo at the end. And good for them for getting there. And if I was in their situation, I would have celebrated the same way, and add them to the list of teams that have scored in the World Cup before Canada now. So hey, but yeah, maybe they might be.
They might be the worst.
It is kind of the thing, right?
Yeah, it is. It is a little bit. But let's just focus on England for a second here. And the job Gareth Southgate is doing. I have to say, Duane, there was a lot of criticism with Gareth Southgate. The fact that he had the interim tag was taken away. He was given the keys to the car. And car's running pretty good. The chemistry between Gareth Southgate and the players, I don't know if you saw those images, but when Harry Kane got subbed off, Jesse Lingard got subbed off, that connection, that chemistry, that look, that embrace, that little, mate, I told you could do it. Mate, I told you were good enough. That little chemistry, that little moments that we saw on camera. Yeah, Gareth Southgate's doing a lot better than we anticipated.
Sir Gareth Southgate, let's just cut it off. Come on, Liz, get this
done. Anyway. Sir, already? Like, come on. It's not even home yet.
That's all it needs, really. No, confidence is a key thing for England, because England's always had a significant amount of talent, but they've never really been able to utilize that, to fully express that. And I see this team right now, and this is why in the lead up to this World Cup I wasn't overstating England's chances. I thought that they had a legitimate opportunity to get to a quarterfinal, which is about their level. But in the past, I think the level of expectation, the level of expect, I guess, that was on England sort of was overwhelming to them. And I don't get that out of this team. They're just playing. They seem to enjoy being there. And I don't think I've ever seen England enjoy being there since about 1990. So there you go.
Is it the weight of no expectations? Is it that lightness on the shoulders that you're like, okay, we're just here. We're taking part, and we'll see where this thing goes. But I want to bring you back to 2014 for a second, and how England lost their 2 first game, then got themselves a draw, and then got themselves a ticket back home. And the order of games has something to do here. Can you imagine in 2018, if England starts against Belgium? And we all know how England works. We all know how the media, the fan, the supporters, sometimes they're quick to the trigger, and they're quick to panic. They're quick to, there's always a button at any single given time on the panic button is just not being pressed all the time. So for England, if you lose your first game against Belgium, example, you already have yourself a drama situation, and it would have been totally different. The fact that they played Tunisia and then they play Panama, it's building up the confidence, and you're facing Belgium in a way that both teams has some confidence. Eden Hazard is being injured, so England just scored 6 goals. England beat Panama worse than Belgium did. What does it say? Does it say anything? I don't know, but it makes for a very interesting game, even though it's a dead rubber. It's for the winner of the group, and it's interesting too, because the winner of the group, let's just take a look quickly, Duane. When I take a look at Belgium example, if Belgium wins the group, so the winner of Group G, it would have Poland, the runner-up of H, if it goes chalk the way I think it does, but it won't, because Group H is weird, so that might be Senegal. But so if you win the group in England, you might get yourself Senegal in the round of 16th. If not, you might have a Colombia or something similar if you finish runner-up. So if you want to have a chance to go to the quarters, and maybe find yourself playing Brazil or Germany, unfortunately, but yeah, this game is actually important, and Eden Hazard, best player for Belgium, won't be playing. So you never know, but this game is actually important for who you're going to face in the round of 16.
No, for sure. And I mean, you touched on it there. Like, skip ahead one level, and you're looking at avoiding Germany or Brazil in that quarterfinal match. Which I don't think if you're England, you want to jump ahead any more than the next game. But certainly, look, I'm like flabbergasted. Like, I've watched England since 1990, and I don't think I've ever seen them play with as much pizzazz, with as much sort of, joie de vivre than they did today. And it's just flabbergasting. So, hell, the quarters, why not? That's
sure.
Ain't for it all.
They were fun to play. They were fun to watch play today. It was fun to watch England connect, and yet that young generation, we got it seen. And Sterling, people are still complaining about Sterling. Oh, he was starting, no Rashford. You know what? Doesn't matter. Southgate is not stupid. And you know what? The whole 2-3 days of people talking about, they leaked the lineup, and the lineup was photographed by the paparazzis, and are you supporting us? Are you supporting them? That was brilliant, because nobody talked about the players anymore. Everybody talked, should we cover up those information as journalists if we uncover them or no? Should we have a say in protecting our national team and supporting them in a way that we're not going to reveal information to other teams? Well, by that time, nobody was talking about Rashford or Sterling anymore. And the players got into the pitch today with no pressure. And you know what? I'm impressed. I have to say, you don't have to be a big personality yelling at the players. You trying to be the main personality and the players are below you. No, man. Just be part of the group. And, it could work.
Well, no, for sure. I am a Raheem Sterling apologist. There's no doubt about that. But that's kind of what I'm getting at. This team, in the past, England has played with like a 10,000-pound block on their shoulder, right? Like, the pressure was always there. I don't sense this with this team. Do I think that they're the best team in the World Cup? No. Do I think that they could win the World Cup? Unlikely. But it's been remarkable to watch this play out. And today, they should have beat Panama. But beat Panama 6-1? No, that's unexpected. This is not something that we watched England ever do, really. So good for them, and you got to give them applause.
And like the offside on his third goal, the deflection, he was literally onside by a millimeter. And you see the foot of the player of Panama there, the white little spot, and you see Harry Kane. It's like perfection. It was, yeah. And his 2 penalties. Let's face it, the 2 best penalties we've seen taken in this World Cup by far. It was the 15th to 16th penalties in this group stage for the most amount of penalties given in a group stage World Cup ever. Thank you, VAR. We're going to see more of those, especially when you wrestle players in the box. They're going to call those, and that was mentioned by Howard Webb on the TSN broadcast. Howard Webb is one of the implementers of VAR, especially in North America. He was the head of the project for Major League Soccer and pro referees. So Howard Webb is saying, look, there's been a lot of non-calls with players wrestling others in the box, and we're going to see more calls coming. So next week's games, the third game of the group stage, where it becomes really important, if those fouls keep happening in the box, and I'm talking about Godoy, formerly of San Jose, when he wrestled Harry Kane down and created the second penalty here, we might see those calls be implemented by VAR a bit more over the next few games, just to make sure that results of games are not decided by missed calls in the box.
Yeah, VAR. I'm so happy to talk about VAR again. No, if you're happy with that, you're happy with that, and it certainly is going to change the dynamic of what we're seeing out there. Look, the dark arts have been something that weaker teams have used for years to try and overcome stronger teams. So if VAR does stamp that out, that's really, to me, just going to underline skill over the dark arts.
Which is what we want in a way, right? I guess it's good. Yeah, exactly. Because what we want is, look, we've seen here questionable calls with VAR. I'll give it to you 100%. Majority of the VAR calls were intrusive and were making the game longer. And just example, on the penalties Kane were taking today, took like 5 minutes before actually taking the penalty because they were checking everything. They're checking, okay, is he offside? Is there offside there? Is he okay? Is there... Okay, good. It's all good. You can go. But on a few instances, the Neymar overturned penalty with the dive. The one with the wrestling of Harry Kane in the box today. Those are things that we've been complaining for a long time about diving, about uncalled foul on set pieces in the box. There's always players pulling jerseys, wrestling, pushing, shoving. Technically, you're not supposed to do all that, and it always is just they let it play, and they don't call those. So we'll see. Maybe this will change. It might take time. Might take a few years. But if this is part of the solution to maybe not eradicate, but to maybe put the diving to a minimum, maybe it's a beneficial, and maybe all the things that we're suffering because of VAR might be worth it down the road. I
mean, look, it doesn't require a VAR to have the referee call those penalties. It just requires strength.
Right? I was going to say courage or confidence in your own cause and not being afraid to take a call, take a stand. And everyone needs to do so. Yeah. So that is true too. VAR is just a symptom, and it's not the cause. And the cause is, well, how you show players how to play and not take advantage. And basically it's made because it's working, right? Dives are working, and that's why it keeps on going. And you're right. Maybe VAR is just part of the solution that will make referee realize that, you know what, we need to call it now. And if we don't, the VAR is going to call it. So I'm just going to call it now. I'm going to change my threshold. I'm going to change my mentality of what I see. I see a jersey tug. I'm going to call it from now on.
You know, so long as this happens across the board, but really VAR is not going to likely be in the CONCACAF semifinals next time, right? So,
well, it's in MLS, so you never know. All right. Anything else we need to say about England, Panama? It's 6-1. It's nothing really. They got a goal. Torres almost got close, but Panama got a goal. So congratulations to Panama for scoring a goal so far. Maybe he can score one or two against Tunisia, but I would put my money on Tunisia for the third game.
It's coming home. It's coming. Football's coming home. Sorry.
No problem. Let's move now to yesterday's game, Duane. And to finish the show later on, I have another subject I want to talk to you about. During the Switzerland and Serbia game, there was some political... there was some political gesturing, and we're going to talk about it a bit later. I think it's interesting, and it's like a convoluted story, of course, and it's complicated in the fact that it's let's just put it the way, a complex region with different nations, different languages, different nationalities living close to each other in either the same country, different provinces. Anyways, we'll talk about Albania, Kosovo, and Switzerland in a few minutes. Let's move to Mexico, South Korea. Mexico 2, South Korea 1, a goal late that really didn't really mean anything outside that it was a beautiful goal from far away from Son. But Mexico winning the group, probably.
Yeah, probably, yeah. I mean, they have to finish the job in the final match. And look, they weren't as dominant as they were against Germany, which is remarkable to say. But certainly they got the job done. And if it wasn't for that late goal by Germany, they absolutely are winning the group. But it's been a remarkable World Cup. There's a lot of teams that you would not necessarily have thought could win this thing going in that you're now going, hey, I can make an argument for that. And Mexico's among them, and good for them. Absolutely good for them. I watched the game with a bunch of voyageurs, and most of them were cheering against Mexico. I was very quietly cheering for them because I do like what they're doing.
Very quietly, because I still have my reputation and my street credibility to uphold, but I was low profile watching Mexico with an intent of seeing them win.
I'm with Landon. No, anyway.
My second team. Mexico is my second team. It's not. It's England and France like together. So it's my second and third team. But Mexico 2, South Korea 1. Rafa Marquez played in that game. One of the oldest players to ever play in the World Cup. His 5th World Cup, and that's impressive. And the other impressive thing, too, when you just talked about how maybe we're going to see like a new team going far. Have you heard that stat? Every 20 years, so every World Cup that finishes with an 8, so 98, 78, 58, new winners. So who's going to win the World Cup in 2018? Is it going to be Mexico for the first time? Portugal for the first time? Or maybe a Belgium for the first time? Oh, those are interesting aspects. A team that never won. Once every 20 years, there's a new team winning the World Cup. Maybe this will happen, too, for the 4th consecutive 20-year span.
Yeah, hopefully I'm around for the next 21 as well. Maybe Russia. Who knows? It's wide open. That's what makes this thing so interesting, is that in the past, you could look at about 3 or 4 teams and go, yeah, they're absolutely dominant. But I don't see that this time. Like, ask yourself this intellectual question. Who has been the best team in this World Cup so far? And it's difficult to answer. Some of the traditional powers have done okay, but there's questions with all of them. And, I could see a Germany win. I could see a Brazil win. I could see a Spain win. Sure, that's probably more likely than not. But it's wide open, and that's amazing.
Speaking of wide open, Germany, Sweden. It took a long time. It took late effort in the game. It took a wonder goal by Toni Kroos in a set piece. Once again, set pieces has been the theme and the narrative of this World Cup. Teams, organized teams with players that are great on dead ball, have been able to take advantage of this game situation so far, and we've seen it today. Of course, we've seen it in Germany and Sweden game. That free kick goal, which wasn't off the free kick, it was like the free kick, then a little pass, and then the setup, and then the great curler shot by Toni Kroos. But Germany scored at the 95th minute of 5 minutes of extra time to win the game. Without winning that game, Germany would have 1 point in 2 games. Now they have 3, tied on points with Sweden, but they have the tiebreaker because they beat Sweden, and Mexico still first in the group. So this group is interesting. Korea going home, but I kind of felt bad for Sweden. That Toivonen chip over Manuel Neuer. How many people can say they chipped one of the best goalkeepers in the world in the World Cup when you cannot even get a starting job with your own club? Toivonen doesn't even start in his own club, but he starts with Sweden, and he chipped Manuel Neuer.
And good for him. Yeah, it was a great thing. I'm not going to lie. I was singing Dancing Queen just before Germany scored the goal to win. And I thought I was being quite funny. And then I had to shut up because, ABBA, Sweden. Anyway, no, look, things turn on a dime. And Germany looked in trouble until they didn't. And now, really, when you look at that goal, you go, okay, they're fine now. And does anyone want to play them in the round of 16? Like, they haven't looked great so far, but
no. And
does anyone really want to play them?
Sweden beats Mexico, Germany win. If Sweden beats Mexico by a few goals, Mexico could be out. It's this group, even though it looked in shambles after 1 or 2 games, Germany can still win the group. That's the funny part. And they were like 15 minutes away from maybe going home, and now they might still win the group. This is interesting too, is that Sweden still has some cards to play. If Sweden goes against Mexico the way they did against Germany, especially the first half, where they got those chances, those opportunities, and were able to defend for their life. It's tough to defend for 95 minutes. You can defend for 85, and the last 10 could cost you. We saw this. But if Sweden plays the way they did against Germany, against Mexico, this could be closer than we anticipate. And it's not all taken care of. Mexico could be going out. It's all about the third game.
I don't think Mexico's going out. I mean, Germany, forgive me for my MLS reference, and I apologize to our Montreal listeners right here. Germany is TFC in terms of this World Cup. That they were kind of precarious, but if they find their way into that knockout round, you're still not betting against them, are you? No. So good for them. And the way that they snatched that at the end made me think that, yeah, I'm still not willing to put very much money against them, is all I'll say.
Speaking of the Impact, great victory on the road last night, 2-0 versus Orlando. The
Why is
Impact
MLS playing?
I don't know.
Well, I
you
was
can't
informed
stop
today
for a
KFC
month.
plays. Why?
Because you can't stop. Duane, we're already complaining when we have the MLS Cup December 10th. You imagine how long it would be if you have to stop everything for a month? It's not like it's summer and vacations here. It's during the season, so 10 days, I guess, it's possible. 4 weeks for like 3 players. I don't know. Maybe down the road it will be something to take a look, or there's no solution though. It's a month long. You can't stop your league for a month.
I'm looking forward to being in LA in December watching TFC win their back-to-back MLS Cup champions as the number 5 seed. I think they're going to be the 5th seed, but it's fine.
You know that Montreal's 3 points away from a playoff spot as we speak. 3 points.
Yeah, no, they're fine.
Anyways, back to the World Cup. So Germany 2, Sweden 1, all up for grabs in the third game. Now, to finish the show today, Duane, I want to talk about Switzerland and Serbia. Albanian descendants Shaka and Shaqiri made some double eagle signs when they scored the goal, and it's the sign that you see on the camera here, which represents the Albanian flag versus the Kosovo one, and there's a political movement. It's called the Grande Albanie, the Greater Albania, and that's literally to put all the Albanians under one country in the Balkans. It's almost a utopian idea, but it's an idea that's present. And Shaqiri was born in Switzerland of Albanian descent. Shaka was born in Albany and eventually moved to Switzerland. Shaka on his shoes was actually wearing both the Switzerland and the Albanian flag. And there has been some investigations open by FIFA. You're not supposed to do political movement, but it's not just that. It's on the Serbian side as well. Serbian side saying, of course, we're not getting any fair treatment like with the referees, just like we didn't have any fair treatment in La Haye in 91. So a lot of, this escalated quickly, and sides are not happy. Political turmoil right now between those 2 countries, and 3 if you include Kosovo and Albania, which is literally involved in this Serbian and this Switzerland gate right now. So we'll see. There's an investigation open, and this might have ramifications on both those players for Switzerland, but probably more on the FA of the Serbian side.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I don't want to get into the geopolitical mess that is the Balkans, but absolutely that could have some ramifications. But here's the thing. How much teeth does FIFA really have to stamp this stuff out? They can fine the federation. They can
ban a player. They won't do it, but you could ban the players for those celebrations. But again, it's interpretation, right? Do it illegal. When you do it illegal, they could always say, "Oh, we were flying high. We're scoring 2 goals. That's what I was doing." There's ways to justify a certain motion with your hand, but the writing aspect of it, which is the declarations of the Serbia FA, the coach, the managers, and other places. Yeah, those, when you compare referees' decision to trials for crimes against humanity, this is it's a bit far-fetched.
Well, no, obviously. Look, I mean, crimes against humanity versus soccer decisions.
Versus a non-call of a penalty. Yeah, it's like, this should be fine. If you're not even allowing the players to do a VAR sign, there's no way you can allow this comparison to happen.
No, I mean, you don't want to have politics in sport, but the reality is there's politics in sport. If there wasn't, we wouldn't play national anthems. We wouldn't, give gold medals out. We wouldn't. But yeah, it's a strange one. It sort of takes away from a remarkable performance by Switzerland in that game as well, which is the unfortunate part of this. But if you know me, you know where my political leanings are. So I have sympathy, but at the same time, it's maybe not the place.
Yeah, not because the world is watching. It means you need to make your stand to make sure that the world hears you. Because it might not come off the way you want to, and you might not get the result that you anticipate.
No, you're not controlling your message when the world is watching. You'd be better off, writing an article for the Players Tribune or something than you would be doing something at the moment. But at the same time, to me, I'm never going to completely criticize an athlete that makes a gesture, that makes a statement during a game, because it's their platform, and to me, they have the right to do it, and I'm not going to worry about it one way or the other. I mean, Does it have does it work? I don't think it does, because it really just create. I guess we're talking about it, but it really just creates divide. So maybe there's better platforms, but as I said, I'm not going to deny anyone the right to say what they want when they want it.
And the other aspect too is some Serbia fans created violent incident in the stands too. So there's that aspect that has been open, investigations open too. But it's just interesting. This is the first game. It could have been a lot more. Imagine if Ukraine qualified for this World Cup. Imagine Ukraine faces Russia. You know, this could have been a lot worse. There's could have been a lot more political incidents happening in this World Cup. This is the most famous one to date this time around. But it'll be interesting to keep an eye on to see if there's actual ramifications, or if this puts the Serbia FA into a turmoil in a way that the players. Well, we'll see how the third game is, because Serbia could be going home really quickly. So go ahead.
Absolutely, they could. Yeah, and you know, all I was going to say is you're right that we haven't really talked about off the pitch stuff, which, you know, in the lead up to this, there were a lot of people that were worried about it. So it's good that this is the first time we're talking about it. We're not talking about, you know, roaming Russian hooligans, so that's a good thing. But yeah,
exactly. We did talk about doping, maybe possibilities, and we'll keep an eye on this in the third game versus Uruguay. If Russia outruns Uruguay, there's like smoking gun right there.
Allegedly, yeah, no doubt. I mean, look, we're always going to talk about off the pitch stuff, but yeah, as I said, I mean, I don't want to dive into Balkan politics, because that's a landmine I don't want to step on. But hopefully, everyone is happy at the end of this.
Exactly. As always, you can follow Duane on social media at 24th Minute, myself at Kev Laramee. We'll be back tomorrow with another edition of World Cup Today, reviewing the last two games of today in the game of the morning. We're going to be a lot earlier for this week. You can catch the podcast version, of course, and our YouTube video feed. If you can't listen live, we're going to be around 8:30 a.m. for the rest of the week because of schedule purposes. So we'll review the games of the day before for the third game. So you can follow us at 24th Minute, at Soccer Today SPN, and at Kev Laramee to make sure you never miss a show. Podcast versions of our show available at sportspodcastingnetwork.com and anywhere you get your podcasts. This show is brought to you by sportsinspired.ca. Get your Call It Football t-shirt right now on sportsinspired.ca. And as always, until tomorrow, have a great soccer.